Hey, Sarah, welcome back.
Thank you, Fatboy.
So please tell us what's popping.
I actually have really good news for you.
For me?
Yes.
What?
I found
news?
you a wife.
What?
I found you a wife. You should be happy.
Where? Who? A wife.
Well, the Street Journal does report that Elon Musk is set to launch robot wives by September.
Oh,
Fatboy.
yes.
And she cooks, cleans, and you can have sex with her as long as you have a password, a fingerprint, or a pattern.
And can you mute her also?
Yes, you can.
Reduce volume?
Of course. For only $3,000, that is $3,144, you can have yourself a robot wife who will never speak, never nag, never question you or argue with you, fat boy.
That just sounds like the perfect wife. You're right. You found her for me.
I found you.
So when will this perfect wife hit the market?
Well, Elon Musk and his company are in the final stages of making robot wives, as the supply of these robots are expected to roll out in September of this year. And guess what?
What?
They're expected to reach Africa in November. So
yes!
Christmas, fat boy.
A Christmas present to myself.
Exactly.
A robotic wife.
Yes. Well, robot wives will use batteries that last by a menstrual cycle.
Menstrual cycle.
Menstrual cycle, yes.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
The batteries will only be charged for the full 3 days, which will make it operate for a month. So they're saying that the batteries...
So you charge her for 3 days.
For 3 days.
And then she runs for a month. So for 3 days in the month, she's useless. Like an actual wife.
Is that so?
Yeah, because she's in her period.
But you don't have a wife, fat boy. So how would you know a wife is useless in the first 3 days?
Well, I mean, I hear stories from my married friends.
And there are men that love to have sex with their wives when they're in the menstrual cycle.
Really?
There are men that even go down on their wives when they're on the menstrual cycle.
That is gross. Can you please change the subject? Why would you want to do that? But unless you're a vampire.
I wanted.
So this is quite interesting. Is this for real though? Like this isn't like some sort of
no, it's not a
parody.
It's not a
news
hoax.
site. This isn't.
It's not a hoax. I've read like at least 3 articles
the Onion,
that say the same
Babylon
thing.
B, not one of those places.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well this is interesting.
It also goes on to say that sex with a robot wife will require a password, pattern, or fingerprint to avoid tampering.
And let me guess, if you don't use
will it feel the same? Is there like a like?
So I've never.
You know, like how a porta potty is, like the outside mobile toilet. Is there like a compartment, like when you ejaculate in your robot wife, that will collect your semen?
Yeah. So
I'm curious.
The little I've read and seen about this, because I've not really ever purchased any of these toys designed for men. Or sexual devices for men, but essentially they are able to make a mold of the inside of a woman's sexual area, and then I think they use silicone and things like that, and they make it really soft. And in some of these devices you can even plug them in so that you can warm up the temperature, so that when you go inside it feels as close to the real thing as possible.
Once you get like electrocuted,
I guess you should unplug it first.
Because electricity...
Before you insert yourself in it.
Exactly. They always warn that do not wet any gadgets while they're on top.
You better not. But what about women who use, vibrators? Do they not worry about electrocution?
You see, vibrators, you don't use it when it is plugged into electricity.
Oh, it's battery.
Charged.
It
has a battery, yeah.
Okay.
Batteries don't electrocute you. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of a thing called a fleshlight?
A flesh.
So basically, just think of what I mentioned earlier, the mold of a silicone mold of a woman's area.
Nankani.
Right. So it's encased in a cylindrical container that resembles a flashlight.
I have seen it. It looks like an ice cream cone.
Right. So on
It's
the other end of
disgusting.
it is like the shape of the outside of a woman, or it could even be her mouth. There's ones for those.
Okay.
And so essentially, with lubrication, it's supposed to replicate the sensations you will feel if you were having normal intercourse with a woman, or if she was giving you oral sex. And it looks like a lot of guys get off on that, and some of them are motorized, and inside there's motors that move to simulate some of that motion.
Mike, I'm curious.
I've done too much research on this, haven't I?
You really have. Although, how do you clean it?
Yeah, so you take it out of the mold of the casing, if it is a fleshlight, and then you rinse it like any
in water.
Yeah, just
run water through
make a soap lather, rinse it out, and just drain it.
Rinse it out.
Pardon the motion, but I mean, you'd rinse it out, and then I guess you leave it to dry till the next time you need to take care of yourself.
I think what I've never seen is tutorials how to clean your sex toys. We need those tutorials.
Did you see? I saw one of Gwyneth Paltrow who wears her sex toy around her neck. Her sex toy is like a form of a necklace. And I was asking myself that same question.
Why?
Would you wash it after using it?
Exactly. Because it's going to smell like fish around your neck.
Fish? Well, you said it, not me.
I'm just saying, because some people
not that I disagree.
If you had fish for
that's
dinner,
how it typically smells.
If you had fish for dinner the night before, it's probably going to smell like fish.
Okay, so yeah, Elon Musk changing the world in all the best ways possible, restoring free speech to Twitter, and now, and then of course, saving the environment with his electric cars, sending rockets to space, and then bringing them back to land on a platform in the middle of the ocean. Amazing stuff. And now he's saving all the frustrated, lonely men by creating a robot wife.
I
love Elon Musk.
That you said lonely men, because it's very sad and very pathetic, honestly.
Being lonely? Is that something to mock someone about?
Yes, it is actually something to mock somebody about, because
to be lonely,
go out and find yourself some real life connections, because this robot wife is not going to give you going to give you the love that you truly do require.
It'll give you the best kind of love, because ultimately what is love but projection that we have of the ideal person onto whoever it is we're interacting with,
because
which in this case
is not going to
you would make the same projection, but this time on a robot rather than on a woman who might potentially cheat on you, divorce you, and take half your money.
But you always like to look at the glass half empty. There are many men who are very happy with their real wives. So you will take your robot wife. You will take. No, by the way, Ben and Jennifer are very happy. I just don't understand why are their worst moments always captured? No, why the media is always, tuned to having to push a negative narrative about those two. Right now, we could be having a conversation. Someone can take a picture of us. Remember in SST when they said interpret the picture? Remember in SST when they would put a picture and they say interpret it, and everybody would come up with their own interpretation.
So what are you saying? So a snapshot of a couple doesn't tell you give you the whole picture?
None at all.
But with those two, it's a bit too much. Like all of their pictures, they look unhappy.
No, it's because people are trying to chase that narrative.
You see the video where he slammed the door?
It is what the media does. It's what the media does. They tell you that there's no global warming happening, and yet there's actually global warming happening, or vice versa. They tell you that Russia is the bad guy, and vice versa. Do you understand what I mean? So the media.
It's about narrative.
It's about narrative.
I'm quite looking forward to this robot thing. Aren't you curious to see what it will do?
No, I'm not.
And are you scared that it might replace you?
Absolutely not. I don't think a real man is going to go for a robot wife. I think a loser is going to go for a robot wife.
It's okay. Shaming language doesn't work.
It's not shaming. It's just a fact.
Why is it okay for a woman to have a dildo?
A man who is afraid of women connection, or probably
you're right. We are afraid.
Who has some issues, go for your robot wife.
Thank you. We will.
But there are real men who want a real living human being.
Yeah, real men who then get divorced and they take half their money.
Listen.
Be a real man and lose everything.
Exactly.
Or be a coward and be happy with your little robot sweetheart.
And
who won't nag you.
And then get electrocuted and die.
Well,
because
you'll die happy, right?
Your robot wife.
You'll die with a smile on your face.
I don't think Kevin Samuel died with a smile on his face. Now, do you think so?
I don't know the details.
Exactly. No. Exactly. That's the thing. But anyway, to those, I did see this story. I think you have seen the story of these men who are attached to their sex dolls. It's so sad.
Yeah, they even marry them.
It's wild.
They
It's
take
weird.
them for walks in parks.
It is crazy.
And for
to
them,
me.
theirs aren't even robots, but those are dolls.
Like
so
doll
they don't
dolls.
even move. They don't responsive. They're just dolls, and you see them carrying them around or wheeling them around on wheelchairs to parks,
It's so sad.
or having dinner with them at restaurants. It's so funny.
It's very sad. It's not funny. It's sad. But anyway, still about Elon Musk. In a recent interview, he went on to declare that working from home is morally wrong.
Ooh, and why would he say that?
Well, he went on to claim that he works 7 days a week. And he did say that employees are more productive when they work in person. But he also expressed that his discernment to white-collar employees who work from home on class grounds. And he also went on to say with most service employees required to do their jobs on site. So he was basically saying if an engineer or a domestic worker has to work on site, then why do you, who just has to send emails, have to work at home? I'm paraphrasing.
Well, I mean, he's being a very prominent CEO of very large organizations. Perhaps he may have some insights into this that maybe the rest of us may not see. But from my own personal experience, I can kind of see where he's coming from because I have on occasion interacted with people who prefer to do remote work, and I noticed in each instance that there was a certain lack of commitment they had towards the tasks. It almost became like you had to chase them around, like you had to beg them for their time. Well, excuse me, are you available to take a call? Are you? And then they'll tell you they're doing other things or whatever. So I sort of lean towards remote work being problematic. I'm not a huge fan of it. And where possible, I would avoid it.
But doesn't it save on operational costs?
But I think the cost, how can I say, when you do the cost benefit analysis, you lose out on the productivity and also teamwork. Look, because if a person is doing remote work, you don't get to use their, how can I say, because if they were in an office environment, they're interacting with co-workers, the brainstorming, coming up with ideas, troubleshooting things. There's a certain magic to people being together in the same space. And, like you can just be walking through the office corridor and then someone pulls you aside and says, hey, what do you think about this and this and this and this? And just right on the fly, spontaneously, a brilliant new idea or plan of execution emerges, which if it's remote, you may not have that same sort of vibe.
But there are people who, and I would like to use your Cafe Java's analogy, who just do not want to have to sit in awkward silence with people, so they prefer a distraction.
Like an introvert?
Be at home, like an introvert, so that they don't have to ask you how your day was or what you had for lunch or how the family is. And they prefer their solitude and they get their work done. So like your Cafe Java's analogy, they like to be at home. They do not want to have to deal with the awkward silence. They do not want to have to be friends with anybody. They just want to do what it is that they are paid for, and that is it. Doesn't that work?
Well,
for
okay.
socially awkward people, introverts.
I will concede that this isn't an absolute science. Like, I don't think it's something that you can cast in stone that this is better or this is worse.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps each situation calls for its own analysis. But I would say in terms of what I would lean more towards, it would be towards physical.
People coming to work, so you just like to... Never mind. Anyway, Elon Musk went on to say this, and I quote, "There are some exceptions, but I kind of think the whole notion of work from home is a bit like the fake Marie Antoinette quote, let them eat cake." That's what he said. And he goes on to say, and I quote, "You are going to make people who make your food that gets delivered that can't work from home, and the people that come and fix your house, they can't work from home, but you can." But again, I feel like he was just tone deaf or out of touch, because if you have a housekeeper, they have to come and clean your house. They cannot clean your house from home. Does that make sense? They have to be on site. So I do not know. Elon Musk, these are rich people problems. This is how they get out of touch with real life,
but he's a
problems.
fascinating guy, for sure. I'm a huge fan.